On the bench here we have a bobbin winder for a 1910 Singer 66. This machine was a Treadle machine with a motor boss on it. And it's got this bobbin winder that's got a guide on it like the long bobbin winders. This one, as you can see, I've taken it all apart. It had a rotten tire on it because it's been converted to electric with a motor kit, actually a third-party motor kit. But I need to get this back together, so first things first, I've got the gear removed, but I didn't take the guide off. So there's a spring washer that goes underneath the gear when you put it in, and then the gear goes in, and the screw that holds the gear in place is a cam, and that screw has a cam on it so that you can set the mesh of the winder teeth. So that's a little tight. That feels pretty good. And of course that spring washer behind the cam post helps hold this in place. So with that nut on the back, all right, I'm gonna call that good. Get my wrench on the square nut, and post has to hold still, and then we tighten there. Okay, there we go. That seems to turn pretty well now. And then this whole winder mounts directly to the hand wheel and belt guard here. So got, and I foolishly did not take notes when I took this apart. I'm going to put this together as such and try it out. So we've got this larger spring, has this long finger that's going to slip under the arm here, and then this tab I believe is going to go there. So this is going to go with that spring tab, and there's a spot where it was wearing on here anyway. So the straight tab goes under the edge of that part on the belt guard, and then the other end here is going to pull up and around. There, underneath, and that's what gives it the spring to lift up and disengage. Alright, so we've got it springing to disengage, and then here is the latch, so the latch is gonna go down like that. And like the other winders, this one has 3 holes for the smaller spring to go into. I'm going to put that smaller spring in the tightest location, and then I'm actually going to put this on and then try to get that spring up over the latch, because this is so spring loaded already. Alright, so I'm using my finger to hold the main winder down and then get this in position and get our shouldered screw started. Okay. And then as this tightens, you need to make sure that this latch here, yep, okay, this latch went onto the shoulder of that screw properly. And then I'm going to reach under. Okay. Yeah, so if I engage the winder, that gives me a little more room here. Maybe a different pick. Let me hook that and draw it in. Yeah, all right. There we go. There, and that loop came out like so. And now push down and pop up. Alright. Because this is the very old style winder, it definitely drives from the pin hole in the side of the 66 here. And then it looks like this. Yep, no. I'm checking the alignment of this finger here, and it is going between the bobbin properly. And then check our winder. So here's the farthest it goes, and the slit here is still inside the bobbin, so that's good. And then the slit should line up pretty evenly with the bobbin. And the only way to adjust this guide here is to just bend it left and right. But alright, I think that winder is reassembled. But yeah, because the spring washer and all this area under the gear, a lot of times on these old winders you have to take them apart and get behind that gear and scrub up, because this winder was just real gross when I took it apart.